going through your mind when you pull a gun on Mike Tyson? That's a scary thing to do.
You know what's scarier? Having an 11-year-old girl.
Teddy Atlas was boxing's most honest voice, a passionate trainer whose moral convictions and unwavering principles made him enemies throughout the sport's corrupt establishment. The Brooklyn native never compromised his values for money or popularity, calling out cowards and frauds regardless of their reputation or political connections. Atlas built his career on fundamental beliefs about character, courage, and integrity that separated real fighters from pretenders who talked tough but folded under genuine pressure. His explosive commentary and fearless criticism exposed uncomfortable truths that many preferred to keep hidden. Some boxers hated Atlas for revealing their weaknesses and character flaws through brutal honesty that damaged carefully constructed public images. Others resented his moral authority and refusal to participate in the promotional lies that protected certain fighters from legitimate criticism. Atlas viewed boxing as a test of human character rather than mere athletic competition. He demanded honesty, preparation, and genuine courage from everyone associated with the sport, while attacking those who represented corruption, cowardice, or fraud. His enemies multiplied because Atlas never backed down from speaking truth to power, regardless of consequences for his own career advancement or financial security in an industry that rewarded silence and complicity over moral courage. We're examining 6 fighters who earned Teddy Atlas's eternal contempt by embodying everything he despised about modern boxing's moral decay and the celebration of fraudulent champions who achieved success through politics rather than genuine merit and authentic warrior spirit. 6. Adrien Broner. Starting at number 6 is Adrien Broner, the Cincinnati showboat whose manufactured persona and paper-thin resume infuriated Atlas as a perfect example of modern boxing's obsession with style over substance and entertainment value over authentic competitive achievement. Broner represented everything Atlas despised about contemporary fighter development, where social media followers and promotional hype could create artificial stars without requiring genuine accomplishments against legitimate opposition or demonstrated character under adversity. The philosophical conflict emerged when Broner began receiving major opportunities and television exposure, despite obvious technical limitations and questionable victories over carefully selected opponents who posed minimal threat to his manufactured undefeated record. Atlas viewed Broner's success as symptomatic of boxing's declining standards and willingness to promote personalities over proven fighters who had earned recognition through years of dedication and sacrifice against quality competition. The personal animosity intensified when Broner started making arrogant statements about his place in boxing history, while demonstrating none of the fundamental qualities that Atlas believed were necessary for legitimate championship consideration. Training camp footage revealed Broner's poor work ethic and unprofessional behavior that contradicted his public claims about dedication and superiority over established champions who had proven themselves through genuine adversity. The broader issue represented Atlas's frustration with an industry that rewarded promotional value over competitive merit, while celebrating characters who lacked the fundamental integrity necessary for representing boxing's warrior tradition. At number 5 is Danny Garcia, the Philadelphia fighter whose protected path to championship status and avoidance of elite competition exemplified Atlas's hatred of modern boxing politics that allowed mediocre fighters to achieve unearned recognition through careful matchmaking. Garcia's rise through the rankings frustrated Atlas because it demonstrated how promotional favoritism and strategic opponent selection could create artificial champions without requiring victories over the division's most dangerous and accomplished fighters. The pattern became obvious as Garcia consistently received favorable opportunities while more deserving contenders were denied similar treatment, revealing the systematic corruption that Atlas had spent his career exposing and condemning. Atlas criticized Garcia's team for prioritizing financial security over competitive integrity, while building a resume that looked impressive to casual observers, but lacked the quality opposition necessary for legitimate championship consideration. The philosophical divide deepened when Garcia began claiming elite status, despite avoiding several available super fights that would have definitively established his place among the division's authentic top contenders and proven champions. Atlas viewed Garcia's success as evidence of boxing's fundamental corruption and the industry's willingness to sacrifice competitive integrity for promotional convenience and financial considerations that benefited connected insiders. The situation represented everything Atlas fought against regarding modern boxing's tendency to create artificial hierarchies based on politics rather than proven accomplishments against the highest level of available competition. Number 4 brings us Amir Khan, the British speedster whose repeated mental collapses and excuse-making after devastating knockouts embodied Atlas's contempt for fighters who possessed physical gifts but lacked the character necessary for championship greatness. Khan's pattern of dominating fights before sudden capitulation revealed the mental weakness that Atlas considered more damaging than any physical limitation or technical deficiency in determining authentic fighting ability and competitive reliability. The psychological breakdowns became a source of particular frustration for Atlas because they represented wasted potential and demonstrated how superior athletic ability meant nothing without corresponding mental strength and genuine warrior mentality. Atlas viewed Khan's post-fight explanations and excuse-making as character defects that disqualified him from serious championship consideration, regardless of his undeniable speed and technical boxing skills against inferior opposition. The repeated failures under pressure created a pattern that Atlas used to illustrate his fundamental belief that boxing revealed true character and separated authentic fighters from athletically gifted individuals who lacked genuine competitive courage. Atlas criticized Khan's supporters and promotional team for continuing to position him as elite-level competition, despite overwhelming evidence that he could not perform reliably when facing legitimate championship pressure from quality opponents. The broader issue represented Atlas's frustration with boxing's reluctance to acknowledge uncomfortable truths about fighters who looked impressive in favorable circumstances, but consistently failed when tested by authentic championship-level adversity and genuine competitive pressure. At number 3 is Ryan Garcia, the social media sensation whose Instagram celebrity status and manufactured hype campaign represented Atlas's worst nightmare about boxing's transformation from authentic sport into entertainment spectacle designed for digital consumption. Garcia's massive online following and promotional push occurred despite minimal accomplishments against legitimate opposition, creating artificial stardom that Atlas viewed as fundamentally destructive to boxing's competitive integrity and warrior culture. The generational divide became apparent as Garcia's team prioritized social media engagement and celebrity appearances over traditional boxing development, and the gradual building of credentials through increasingly difficult opposition. Atlas criticized the systematic protection of Garcia from meaningful competition while simultaneously promoting him as a legitimate star worthy of major opportunities and championship consideration, despite obvious gaps in his development. The philosophical conflict represented broader concerns about boxing's future, as entertainment considerations increasingly overshadowed athletic merit in determining which fighters received recognition and lucrative opportunities. Training footage and behind-the-scenes content suggested that Garcia's preparation and professional dedication fell short of standards that Atlas believed were necessary for legitimate championship development and competitive reliability. The situation symbolized Atlas's fears about boxing's evolution toward celebrity culture and away from the traditional values that had historically separated authentic champions from entertaining personalities who lacked genuine competitive substance and proven fighting character. 2. Gervonta Davis. Number 2 is Gervonta Davis, the Baltimore puncher whose legal troubles and unprofessional behavior outside the ring infuriated Atlas as a perfect example of wasted talent and moral failure that damaged boxing's reputation and misled young fans. Davis possessed devastating knockout power and natural boxing ability that could have made him a legitimate superstar. But his repeated arrests and character issues represented everything Atlas despised about modern fighters who prioritized street credibility over professional excellence. The pattern of legal problems and training camp disruptions demonstrated the lack of discipline and character development that Atlas considered essential for authentic championship success and positive representation of boxing's values. Atlas viewed Davis's continued success despite obvious character flaws as evidence of boxing's moral bankruptcy and willingness to reward behavior that would be unacceptable in legitimate professional sports and business environments. The promotional protection and media coverage that ignored Davis's personal failures while celebrating his knockout power frustrated Atlas's belief that character should matter as much as athletic ability in determining who deserved recognition. The broader implications concerned Atlas because Davis's success sent wrong messages to young fighters about what behavior was acceptable, while undermining boxing's efforts to gain mainstream respectability and corporate support. Atlas used Davis as evidence of boxing's failure to hold fighters accountable for their actions, while allowing talent to excuse character defects that would destroy careers in more professionally managed sports and entertainment industries. 1. Mike Tyson. And finally, at number 1, the most complex and painful hatred of all, Mike Tyson, the heavyweight phenomenon whose incredible potential was destroyed through moral corruption and character assassination that represented Atlas's greatest failure and most heartbreaking professional disappointment. The relationship began when Atlas recognized Tyson's extraordinary gifts and believed that proper guidance could transform him into boxing's greatest champion, while serving as a positive role model for disadvantaged youth seeking inspiration and direction. Atlas invested enormous emotional energy trying to develop Tyson's character alongside his boxing skills, understanding that athletic ability without moral foundation would eventually lead to destruction and wasted potential that could have benefited countless people. The betrayal came when Tyson chose corruption over character development, abandoning Atlas's guidance for influences that encouraged his worst impulses, while exploiting his talents for financial gain rather than personal growth and positive achievement. Atlas watched helplessly as Tyson's behavior became increasingly erratic and criminal, validating every warning about the importance of character development and moral education in creating authentic champions rather than temporary celebrities. The personal disappointment cut deeper than any professional setback because Atlas had genuinely believed in Tyson's potential for greatness and positive influence, while investing his reputation and emotional well-being in someone who ultimately chose destruction over development. Tyson's criminal conviction and career decline became Atlas's most painful example of how boxing could corrupt exceptional talent, while demonstrating why character development must accompany athletic training in creating authentic champions worthy of respect and admiration. The lasting regret represented Atlas's recognition that his greatest student had become his most devastating failure, proving that even unlimited potential means nothing without corresponding character development and moral guidance from people who genuinely care about human development rather than financial exploitation. From manufactured hype to moral failures, Teddy Atlas witnessed boxing's authentic spirit being corrupted. Which disappointment cut deepest? Subscribe for more unfiltered boxing truth.